In 2018, Insomniac released Spider-Man for the PS4, and it left Xbox users saying, well, we have Quantum Break. Spider-Man isn't that good. Well, those people are stupid because Spider-Man was amazing. Sure, it was released during the absolute hype of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but even though that has well and truly crashed and burned, Spider-Man 2 shows us that superhero games will always have a place in gaming if done correctly. My name is Victor from Unclenched. Let's put on our red and blue tights and review Spider-Man 2. For whatever reason, all the trailers and gameplay for this game showed huge spoilers. It showed us the Venom symbiote, it showed us some of the main villains, and yeah, that's a huge bummer, but the way the story actually played out left me surprised and quite pleased. Spider-Man 2 obviously follows both Peter Parker and Miles Morales, and the one thing that the 2018 release did really well was humanize these characters. This time around, they focus a lot more heavily on the relationships outside of wearing the suit, and while those missions tend to be a little lackluster, they do add a lot of context and emotion into the story, and that really impacted the way we felt when certain things happen later on. A classic theme that is in every Spider-Man story is their ability, or their lack of ability to balance both home life and being a superhero at the same time. This time, it's Miles' turn to really struggle with that inner battle. The poor dude, he just wants to go to his bedroom, he wants to jerk off, hang out with his friends, but he's constantly being pulled away by this need to help people. This poor guy, it must really suck to have awesome superpowers, be absolutely attractive, smart, and beloved by everybody. It must be so difficult. No, I'm just joking. All jokes aside, I really love the growth Miles had. If we were not to see Peter Parker for a while, Miles can more than take the lead in future projects. I honestly thought we would see less of Peter, but his story is more of a focus in Spider-Man 2. Gone is Aunt May, and because she isn't that sexy Marissa Tomei version, I didn't really mind all too much, but they have replaced her with characters that are really close companions of Pete's. The relationship between Peter and this new character is really the main driving force of the story. It's obviously a story that has been told before in some way or another, and even though it's very obvious what the overall outcome will be, the journey to get there is fantastic. The main baddie this time around, as we all already know, is Kraven. This dude is actually scary. For once, I was super intimidated by the main villain, and the whole reason he's in New York, which I won't spoil, is terrifying in itself. One of the things with most villains in the Spider-Man universe is that they are bad, but they have this inner good. Spider-Man is a bit of a sook in this way, and he just wants to help the people that have tried killing him non-stop. They've abducted his family, they've taken MJ or whatever, but Spider-Man just wants to continually help them. But you get the feeling that no matter what happens, Kraven cannot be helped. Honestly, I thought Kraven was scary, but that's nothing compared to the last quarter of the game. I don't know if you know this, but they do make diapers for adults, and I went through a full pack in the last few hours. One of the things that always broke immersion in the previous games was that after a huge mission, we've had our ass kicked, we've nearly died 8 times, we would just be back immediately to swinging around the city and onto the next thing. No coffee break, or in Miles' case, no ability to quickly jerk off. But now, because the story swaps you around from Peter to Miles, you really get an emotional break in between huge story moments. Because of this, the story really has a great flow. Peter is recovering from a huge battle, for example, and in the meantime, Miles is helping his fellow school students or trying to find some missing items for a local museum. The story is fantastic. It is an absolute wild ride, but there is a single blemish, and I won't deduct any points from the game, but it's one thing that I really hated. Mary Jane, you play as her again. We go from these badass superheroes to a ranger with a taser that can somehow stealth her way around and tase bad guys that take 10 punches from Spider-Man to defeat. Here I was, big smile on my face like a child that just won a golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, then out of nowhere, and with almost zero reason at all, they make us play as her. Okay, it's not that bad, and even these missions are a huge improvement from last time, so I'll give them that. Something that is really great for us people that actually work and can't play video games at all, you know who you are, is that if you only have 30 minutes to kill, the city is littered with heaps of side content. Insomniac sort of listened to us and made these missions a tad less tedious. There is still stupid shit to do like water plants, but for the most part the side activities are quick, simple, and plentiful. There is heaps more to do this time around, and for completionists we will really get our money's worth. The best part is when doing some of this side content, you will bump into the other Spider-Man. It's always a surprise and a really most welcome detail. Because gamers will always find something to complain about, there was a bit of an uproar when the developers said that Spider-Man 2 was going to be in New York again. For starters, New York is huge and the ability to add new buildings in is something they can forever do. Secondly, as if being in another major city would make any difference, 90% of the time is spent traversing in between and over building so fast that you rarely have any opportunity to really take in the city life. Insomniac sort of shot themselves in the foot when they said the map was twice as big. Technically that's true, but a large portion of that is water. But it is sort of sweet and a good break from the city life when you head to the newer suburban areas. And even though I wouldn't want to spend any unnecessary time there, it was fun to see. Buildings that were under construction in Spider-Man 1 are now completed. People, they talk to each other, they interact with Spider-Man, there is music in everyday New York hustle and bustle, and it feels real. It's something that they did really well in the previous game, and they have continued to improve on it in every way possible in Spider-Man 2. Maybe in Spider-Man 3 we'll get more of a true taste of New York. We'll see garbage, homeless people, there might be bad smells, and definitely hookers on the streets. We can only hope, fingers crossed. The graphics, despite what anyone's saying, are incredible. The faces of the characters are lively and emotional. Their bottom lips quiver when they're sad. And Miles' mum is hot as, just look at her. Of the facial features can look a little derpy from time to time, but not really. You can tell that each of the character has been designed with lots of love, and a lot of time went into crafting them. Getting around the city is still amazing, and it gave me shivers when I first started playing again. For more details on movement, here is special guest Jordan from GameSpot.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
To save time, I'm not going to cover all the things you already know about how we feel like Spider-Man when swinging, but they have taken it to a complete new level when it comes to traversal. You can use your webs to slingshot yourself from the ground to the sky for an instant head start. You can do a big loop for increased distance, and with the newly added spider wings, you can glide from wind tunnel to wind tunnel and avoid the need to fast travel at all. The wings might make you feel more like Superman than Spider-Man. They are optional, so if you just don't like them, don't use them. It's that simple. Quick travel now only takes 1.33 seconds precisely to complete, and it's so smooth. It's huge for the gaming industry, and while it's something I'm glad's there, it's not really needed because going from point A to point B is never a chore. It is always a joy. Insomniac have also taken the combat to the next level. Both Spider-Man have 4 unique ability slots that can be changed around. With Miles, you'll be using your electricity abilities to hit multiple enemies at once, and Peter uses his Venom symbiote to wreak havoc on the poor fools that dare stand in his way. There are also gadgets, special like rage abilities, and now the need to parry. Parrying took me a little while to get used to, but pairing it with dodging makes for some really epic combos. It all really goes well together. Normal fighting mixed in with a gadget or two, then a special ability back to normal fighting. I am going to say it. I'm actually going to say it. Yes, I felt like Spider-Man. I've always felt that Miles Morales was far more powerful than Pete was, but they have done a great job of balancing them out, especially because they give the player the choice to choose who to power up more. Each player has their own unique skill tree that will power up their own abilities, as well as a joint skill tree that you will unlock more abilities and fighting skills for each Spider-Man. I found that Peter was starting to get stronger at one stage, so then I started to dump my skill points to make Miles catch up. By the end of the game, you'll have more abilities and combos than you would ever remember. I was consistently checking things I had unlocked so that I could really try to remind myself to implement them and make my combat performance even better. I played on medium difficulty and did die a few times, especially against enemies where you have to parry and you can't dodge. For a real challenge, I would recommend a harder difficulty. The one annoying part of the game, I think, was there's some bosses where you have to fight through like 3 or 4 stages to defeat them. It got a little bit repetitive, but that's okay. Stealth is something that can be ignored for like 95% of the game. It doesn't have any major updates, but you do have a new skill called like web line or string line that lets you do takedowns from anywhere the string is located. It's cool, but it's pretty overpowered to be honest, and I used it all the time. Again, on normal difficulty, you can see if it's a good time for you to stealth kill an enemy or not. It takes any guessing work out of it, and it's maybe one thing that the game holds your hand on a bit too much. Stealth is a good way to break up the constant fighting, and I'm glad it's there, but I didn't even notice I wasn't stealthing until like 6 hours into the game, and yeah, it was just too easy. Spider-Man 1 got an 87% on Metacritic for a good reason. Spider-Man 2 takes that amazing formula and has improved on it in every way possible. That's not a joke. A better story, way better main villains, a bigger, more lively city, faster and more precise traversal, combat that flows together so well that you feel untouchable. Paired that all with great graphics, stellar voice acting, and a whole lot more content, I'd be a fool to give this game any less than a score of 9.5 out of 10. Yes, I'm a Spider-Man fanboy now. Consider it in my top 15 of all time.